Hi, I'm Phil Grande of philsgang.com. Over the years, I've successfully taught tens of thousands of investors how to navigate the market with confidence. Become a Phil's Gang member and receive the training, the advice, and the software that will take your investing to the next level. I have a team comprised of successful investors, all with proven track records. And Phil's Gang software is easy to use, painless to navigate, and tells you exactly when to buy, when to sell, when to hold, when to run like hell, even short. Learn about common market mistakes and how to minimize them. You don't have to be a seasoned investor to benefit from Phil's Gang and platform. No matter what level investor you are, my strategies for investing are designed.
You want to invest your money and grow your wealth. How do you invest intelligently? Become a Phil's Gang member and receive the training, advice, and software that will take your investing to the next level. Our team is comprised of successful investors, all with proven track records. Phil's Gang software is easy to use, painless to navigate, and tells you exactly when to buy and sell to help maximize profits. Learn about common market mistakes and how to minimize them. Phil's Gang has successfully taught tens of thousands of investors how to navigate the market with confidence. You don't need to be a seasoned investor to benefit from the Phil's Gang platform, no matter what level of investor you are. Phil's Gang strategies for investing are designed to put you on the path to success. Sign up for a 10-day free trial to see our platform in action, avoid market pitfalls, and start winning with Phil's Gang. Learn more at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. When you listen to the advice of Phil Grande at philsgang.com, you'll find investing in the stock market makes sense with the right guidance.
People keep saying to me, boy, things are hard, things are tough. Boy, the market's really screwed up. And I don't agree with them. For us here at Phil's Gang, we make it so it's simple. It doesn't matter if the market's bad or good. We consistently do well because we make it simple. And just like for my listeners on the radio or on the internet or my podcast, we make it simple. We try to break it down so you really understand why the market is going up or why there's continued inflation or why the bank rates are going up. So you understand. Especially yields. The most important thing to understand how yields work. Just what we do. We work hard at it.
Trusted advice, easy to understand strategies that will make you a better investor. Get all the details at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. If you want to invest your money and grow your wealth, listen to this.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. I get so tired of listening to the same garbage every day, listening to the fake business news network telling you why you should buy this stock, why you should buy, and they're always wrong. Join my gang, philsgang.com, free for 10 days. You're going to learn when to buy a stock and when not to buy a stock. Hey, years ago it was different. You could buy a stock based on fundamentals. You could buy a stock based on earnings. You could buy a stock based on PE ratios. Those days are gone. That ended with QE. That ended when they financially engineered the market in 2008. Gone. Now you got to follow the money. And we have the knowledge because we have the chart. Pro 2 color-coded chart tells you when to buy, when to sell, when to run like hell.
For a limited time, you can join Phil's Gang free for 10 days.
Check it out, philsgang.com. Get the truth, get the knowledge, and understand how the market really works.
These are volatile times in the stock market.
Market's up 200, then it's up 800, it's up 700.
How do you get the facts when investing?
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. If you're confused about the stock market, get unconfused. Go to my site, philsgang.com, and listen to my radio show every weekday at 3 Eastern. What is the market going to do? We know exactly what the market's going to do.
Phil's got the answers at philsgang.com.
There's no need for you to be losing money.
Check it out, philsgang.com. Why are investors listening to Phil Grande of philsgang.com?
You know why people listen to my show? Because I make it simple. When you talk about the stock market, they make it so complicated. I make it easy to understand. For the average investor, the Main Street investor, most of the time, these guys, like they're talking to each other. We talk directly to you and we listen to you.
Invest better with the sound advice of Phil Grande at philsgang.com. Are you a stock market investor without all the information?
What are you, nuts? Market's going up, market's going down. We're getting all this bad information.
How do you invest intelligently? Phil Grande can show you.
If you want real information and you really want to know what the market's going to do and you want the truth, go to my site, philsgang.com, and also listen to me on my radio show every weekday at 3 o'clock Eastern.
Phil's got the answers at philsgang.com.
That's philsgang.com, where you get the truth and you get the information you need about the market.
When making wise investment decisions, Phil Grande has some sound reasons you should join Phil's gang.
You know, when I started this, they asked me, okay, can you explain to people why they should join the gang? Gee, I thought about that. And I guess to make money. But more than that, to get good direction on which way the economy's really going. We get so much crap, so many lies, how great the economy is and how great the tech business is, and when it's not. The problem is we have too many people in Washington and in this industry that just don't tell the truth. The truth is everything. And here at Phil's Gang, we stick with the facts. We tell the truth. We make sure our members, are getting the best information, and our listeners, like you. We make that information available to you and make it simple and understandable.
Good investing means understanding how the stock market works. Join today at philsgang.com. Why are investors listening to Phil Grande of philsgang.com?
You know why people listen to my show? Because I make it simple. When you talk about the stock market, they make it so complicated. I make it easy to understand. For the average investor, the Main Street investor, most of the time, these guys, like they're talking to each other. We talk directly to you and we listen to you.
Invest better with the sound advice of Phil Grande at philsgang.com. Phil Grande has successfully taught tens of thousands of investors how to navigate the market with confidence.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. That's right, philsgang.com. Join my gang for 10 days. It's free. If anything, during that 10-day period, you're going to learn how the market really works. You're going to find information that you never had before. You're going to walk away and go, I didn't know that. So join my gang for 10 days free, philsgang.com, and you're also going to learn how to make money when the market goes down. It's kind of silly just sitting there when the market going down, hoping. Why hope when you can sell short and make money? Either way, you make money when the market goes up, you make money when the market goes down. That's the benefit of Phil's Gang. You make money.
Become a Phil's Gang member and receive the training, advice, and software that will take your investing to the next level.
philsgang.com. Sign up free for 10 days. Whoa!
It's your daily dose of how to manage your money. And now it's time for Phil's Gang on the Off the Wall Street Network.
Oh, God. Are you nuts?
With your host, Phil Grande.
But month by month, the consumer has held up. They're continuing to shop.
They're continuing to shop and drop. Unbelievable what's going on. As we hit the new year, they're being very quiet. Wall Street's being quiet. Washington's being quiet. Congress being quiet about what is ready to hit us. You remember, I've been telling you that the banks have been hiding $500 billion in bad loans. These are loans, commercial loans. Everybody's been talking about commercial real estate and everything. Gee, I haven't heard about commercial real estate. It must be okay now. No. These loans that were financed for 3%, 4% are now coming due this year. They have to be paid. And these commercial loans, which nobody's talking about, unbelievable. They're worth about half their values, book value, the value when they went in years ago and they bought this property and it was apartments and strip malls. They were filled with tenants. They're worth about half of what they were back then. And they were paying 3%, 3.5%. Now, this is all going to roll over, but nobody's talking about it on Wall Street. This is amazing. This could really take the market down. So you have all this debt that has to be rolled over, and they're not going to roll it over at 3%. it's going to be between 9 and 10%. So what's interesting is it used to be where the Federal Reserve would use their balance sheet and buy all this garbage from the banks and put it on their balance sheet. Remember the housing crash? What'd they do? They bought all these houses that were upside down. The banks were holding on all these houses. And the Fed went in and bought all the garbage, put it on their balance sheet. That's how the banks survived. And then what happened? Then the guys at Wall Street made a deal with Obama. They would come in and buy these mortgages. A mortgage that was at $200,000, they'd be able to buy that house that was at $200,000. They could buy that house for about $25,000. So they came in and they bought all these houses, right? Well, that is because they could do that because the Fed had room on their balance sheet. They have no room on their balance sheet. They can't fix this one. This could take the market down big. You know, everybody always says, you know, it's the things you don't worry about that screw you up and really hurt you. The things you worry about, very seldom do they touch you. They screw you up. What's that? One thing you don't worry about that comes around the corner, that's exactly what's going to happen with the stock market. It's that one thing coming around the corner. And this is big. This is huge. This is huge. And we're already in an environment that's terrible. I mean, Powell's going to do a rate cut. You know, it's amazing. Everybody's talking about this rate cut. Like, I mean, everybody's so excited. Market's rallying. We're going to have this rate cut. I mean, you could equate this excitement to the end of World War II. I mean, they're so excited. What's 25 basis points going to do? Nothing. What are they going? 25 basis points going to help with all this mess they got? The $500 billion in losses. Companies that borrowed 3%, they got to have to go to a rate of 9%. That's never going to happen. They're going to file bankruptcy, and you got to take the banks with them. There's no Fed who for years have been saving in these kind of situations and the great saving. No more. That's over. They can't prevent this crisis. Look what happened in October this year. The banks had no money, like in 2008. But in 2008, we had the big crash. Well, since then, they've learned. Since then, they put a repo market together, if you will, where they pour money into this pool, and then the banks are saved. So that's why in October here, we didn't have a crisis like 2008. But this is a real tough crisis right now, what we're facing at the end of the year here, because these banks are in deep, deep trouble. And now a lot of the banks too are your regional banks. That's the real problem. The regional banks are the ones that take care of most of your lending. I mean, they're the ones who, you know, again, are big, you know, your community banks, okay? They work with the community. They give you mortgages, small business loans. We're going to see a monster collapse in those banks. And I mean, this thing could really take, again, the economy down. So, and then we got another problem coming. You know, most people don't realize that going into the new year that Trump has been borrowing money short term, T-notes. Because remember, who used to buy our debt from us? China, Japan, the UK. They don't buy our debt from us anymore. When they sell us their garbage and put it into Walmart and Lowe's and all that, what do they do with their money? They're buying gold. Have you seen gold going back up? Now, again, anybody who's in gold miners, wait till it makes a new high. Don't jump in now, because it still can come back a bit. But the United States government owes $38 trillion. This is another crisis we're following going into 2026. Nobody's talking about. I mean, that's more debt than the entire global economy produced in a single year, just 2 decades ago. The annual interest rate payment on that debt is approaching $1.2 trillion. Nobody's talking about it. $1.2 trillion. That's more than the defense spending, more than Medicare, more than anything except Social Security. Now we're facing that crisis as well as this other banking crisis with the commercial real estate. But it used to be the Fed could take care of it all. Just open their balance sheet, buy all the crap. They can't do that now. Their balance sheet is tapped out. So the foreign and central banks, they're not going to buy this crap from us. They're not going to buy our debt. Are you kidding? So these interest payments are going to be huge. Going to be huge. So we got that problem as well. The Federal Reserve, they're going to cut a rate, 25 basis points. It's going to fix all this? It's going to you nuts. 25 basis, it's not going to change the record low consumer sentiment. I mean, President Trump, we talked about this yesterday, how he's so upset because he's doing a great job. He's doing a terrific job. He settled 8 wars. I mean, you could go down a list that goes a mile long what he's done. He's done more in 3 months than 5 presidents done in all their years they're in office. Are you kidding? You should give him everybody should give him a lot of credit. If you hate him, you should give him credit, for God's sakes. But here's the problem. Here's the problem. His ratings are terrible. And he's upset over it. The Federal Reserve short-term Fed rate that they're going to cut, 25 basis points, is not going to change his ratings. He's got a record low consumer sentiment. It dropped from 53.6 to 51%. Do you realize what's going to happen with these banks when they all start collapsing because of the commercial loans? So let's talk about the consumer sentiment. A record low. We've never had a consumer sentiment this low. It dropped from 53.6 to 51. Nor will this 25 basis point cut help with the record low consumer confidence. Consumers have no confidence. Do you know the consumer confidence is at 5%? 5%. That's the lowest since July 2024. And the reason they don't have confidence and the sentiment is terrible because of the labor market. We've been lied to. We have the weakest wage growth in 7 years, but they don't tell us that. Oh, they tell you how everything is wonderful. Wages are strong, consumers strong, he's out buying, he's using his credit cards. There's no bubble here.
I guess I'm not at the point where I'm calling this a bubble.
Yeah, there's no bubble. You can't see one. There's no bubble.
There's definitely a bubble.
Well, who do you believe? Is there or is there not? Oh, follow the bond market. The bond market says there's a bubble. Always trust the bond market. It always tells the truth. So let's think about this. So we have the record low consumer sentiment. We have record low consumer confidence. Why? Because we have a terrible labor market. The weakest wage growth in 7 years, but nobody talks about it. You hear anybody talking about it? And the jibber jabbers on TV? No. The reason our consumer sentiment and confidence is so low because the prospects for a good job or better wages is zero. Is zero. Now again, not taking anything away from Trump. President Trump did a great job. God, if you go down that list, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's the size of an aircraft carrier, what he did. But people don't see it. What they see is their wallet. What they see is when the weekend comes, they can't go out to dinner. That's what they see. At the end of the month, they have to hit their credit card because they don't have enough money after tax. After they take their tax out, their payroll, they don't have enough money to pay their bills. Talk about paying bills, for God's sakes. NVIDIA has 89% increase in bills they're not paying. 89% increase in the bills they're not paying, and everybody's out there buying NVIDIA like it's a god. What's going to happen with those companies? We've been on this high since 2008 called QE. This has been the biggest bubble in the world. All they do is keep increasing the money supply from 5 trillion to 22 trillion. This is the bubble we're in. If anybody says they can't see a bubble, then please tell me, what is it when you go from 5 billion to 22 trillion? Is that a shoelace? What the hell is that? It's a bubble. But they're not going to admit it. I mean, that's a terrible bubble. We're in a terrible bubble. And we could be in this bubble in the worst time. Now, of course, if you know how to sell short, this is going to be great. You can make a ton of money. Wall Street's going to make a ton of money shorting your 401k. That's right. When your 401k goes down, they're going to be, oh, well, come into the office, and what we'll do is let's adjust some things here. Come on in, and we'll move some things around. Move what around? What are you going to move around? The furniture in your office, you dope? What are you going to move around? You got me in this crap. What are you going to do? You got me in all these big tech stocks. Got me in all the Magnificent Seven. And they're terrible. Look what's going on with them. Now you really open up and go inside and take a look at these companies. Whoa. A little scary what's going on with these companies. NVIDIA? Are you kidding me? How about OpenAI? I mean, between OpenAI, Oracle, and NVIDIA, the only, thank God, OpenAI is not a publicly traded company. Look at Oracle, $315 billion in losses and their value since September. How do you lose $315 billion, Oracle? How do you lose $315 billion in value since September? And they have a negative cash flow. And they think their negative cash flow is going on for 5 years. Now, again, the Fed is always there. But they can't take care of Oracle now. They have no room on their balance sheet. OpenAI, all you hear every week, remember? Well, today, Oracle merged with OpenAI, doing a deal with OpenAI. And boy, the stock would go up 40, 50%. Boom! They did it. What? They did what? They did a deal with OpenAI. I got in. Get me in. And the FOMOs are buying right at the peak. I love the FOMOs. God, the FOMOs are so stupid. It's unbelievable. They buy right at every peak. But let's think about this. NVIDIA now has got caught counting the same revenue, the same dollars through different companies to make it look better than it is. OpenAI cash burn, I told you, is negative. Not negative, but their cash burn is $9.3 billion. Well, how do you report? I mean, this is insane. How do you report a profit of $3.7 billion when your cash burn is $9.3 billion? Where's that profit coming from? NVIDIA has generated $14.5 billion in cash, yet they report a profit of $20 billion. How do you do that? Must be magic. That's a $5 billion gap. How do you mash that? How do you cover that up? How do you cover your bills? Your unpaid bills are $33 billion. That's an 89% increase from last year, 12 months. How do you increase your payables?
1 minute.
By 89% and you're still in business? And how do you not collect money? They're not getting paid for a lot of their chips. They're supposed to get paid right away. And if these companies don't pay them right away, if a company is just 1 week delayed in paying NVIDIA, they lose $10.4 billion in cash flow on one company. Inventory, unsold chips
30 seconds.
have increased 32% in the last 90 days. But you get the FOMOs, they'll buy right at the top, right at the peak. So, but going back to the president, and he's really down about it, he doesn't like to see where we have low consumer sentiment, record low consumer confidence. Nobody wants to see that. We have a terrible, weak labor market. We have the weakest wage growth in 7 years.
8, 7.
So what do you do if you're in the market and you're investing? How do you trade the market? I'll tell you when I get back.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here, and it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from, all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande of philsgang.com. Over the years, I've successfully taught tens of thousands of investors how to navigate the market with confidence. Become a Phil's Gang member and receive the training, the advice, and the software that will take your investing to the next level. I have a team comprised of successful investors, all with proven track records. And the Phil's Gang software is easy to use, painless to navigate, and tells you exactly when to buy, when to sell, when to hold, when to run like hell, even short. Learn about common market mistakes and how to minimize them. You don't have to be a seasoned investor to benefit from Phil's Gang and platform. No matter what level investor you are, my strategies for investing are designed to put you on the path to success. Sign up for the 10-day free trial to see our platform in action. Avoid market pitfalls and start winning with Phil's Gang. Learn more at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com.
Welcome back. Learn, invest, and make profits with Phil Grande. Simply go to philsgang.com. Now, here's Phil.
Phil's Gang. Join my gang. Free for 10 days. The only protection you're going to have when the market does crash, I'm not saying it's going to crash today, so don't come over here and try to stone me to death, but it will crash. It's all fake. It's the biggest bubble in history. You can't keep this Ponzi scheme up. Every time the market starts going down, they increase the money supply. No wonder we can't get below 3%. How many times have we heard inflation target 2%, 2%? You're not even going to get close to 2%. It's 3%. It's actually more than that now. Matter of fact, real inflation is 6%, but nobody wants to talk about that either. But let's go back to, so we have a terrible, weak labor market nobody wanted to talk about. They lied to us. Remember how the Biden administration, they lied about, they rigged almost 900,000 jobs that were fake? And remember, when you have a situation, okay, where that the Fed is going to cut 25 basis points and the stock market, the Dow goes up 600 points, you better learn how to sell short. Do you know who's in there buying this stuff? Not the pros, not the institutional money, not the hedge funds, not the smart money. The dopes are in there buying. They're called tourist investors and FOMOs. They're gamblers. They have a herd mentality. They don't understand the market. Matter of fact, they did a survey, and you know that most retail investors, over 90% of retail investors, never look at volume? Never look at volume. The volume bars. Never look at volume. Isn't that shameful? And they're in the market, never look at volume, never look at relative strength. They just look at TV. When some dope comes on TV, say, oh, we got this hot stock. They fail to realize he and all his buddies already bought that stock 2-3 months ago. And they want you to buy so they can get out. But let's get back to the Federal Reserve, this 25 basis points, that's pushing this market up again. God, it's creating such a trap. It's unbelievable. The shorts are in here covering is what's going on. You don't have the institutional money in here buying. They're getting out. As the stock market's going up, 663, the Dow's going up 663 points today. And there's only a couple of stocks that are really making it move. The rest of it, all stocks are going up a little bit at a time. Remember, as you go into Thanksgiving, as you go into Christmas, stock market more often than not will always go up because there's no shorts around. The big boys, the institutions are gone. They're on vacation. They're gone. So I told my members early on that when you have a couple days before Thanksgiving, buy the spiders because they always go up. They always go up without fail. And they'll go up a little bit each day, or buy the Qs. They go up every time you get into Thanksgiving, a few days before Thanksgiving, a few days before Christmas, a few days before the New Year. The spiders always go up, always go up. But going back to the president and the Federal Reserve and what's going on here, this 25 basis point, it's not going to change a damn thing. It's going to make things worse. You're going to see that the 10-year Treasury yield, which they think will come down, is going to go up. Is going to go up. That's the worst thing that can happen. When you have record low consumer sentiment, when you have record low consumer confidence, you are screwed. And why? Why is the confidence? Why is the sentiment so low? Because they know they're not going to get a good job. They know they're going to lose their job. The prospects of a good job are nil. They know that. Somebody who's been working for 15, 20 years, he knows the market. He knows the labor market. They all talk. They know what's going on. Companies are getting shut down. People are getting pink slips. People are getting laid off. And by the way, I wish they'd start talking about stagflation. They don't want to talk about stagflation either. No, they don't want to talk about stagflation. No, don't tell them about stagflation. No. We've been in a manufacturing and a labor market recession for 3 years, but nobody ever says it's a recession. And as long as you know how to buy stocks, you follow the money. When you know how to follow the money, you're never in trouble. As long as you know how to follow the money. So when money's coming in, the stocks go up, you're buying. When money pulling out, you sell short. And 90% of the people in the stock market do not sell short. People in 401ks are screwed. You're going to lose 20%, 25%. That means you got to get 30% back to break even. If you lose, let's say, 25%, you got to get almost 30% back to get your 25% back. That's how it works. If it goes down 25%, it just doesn't go up 25%, you broke even. Goes down 25%, you almost got to get 35% or more back. But this record low consumer sentiment and this record low consumer confidence is going to take a real hit with this market. See, they're upset because they aren't making money. The weakest wage growth in 7 years. The prospects of a good job, they know, is dismal. The prospects of better wages is dismal. Anyone who's been working knows this is true. No matter what they say in Washington, they're in deep trouble. Now you got this other stuff coming behind you. With the banks, the commercial real estate. Only the guys on Wall Street will continue to make money. It doesn't matter. They make money if the market goes up or down, and you should be in that same position. Majority of Main Street households, their incomes are $87,000. Now think about this for a moment. The majority of Main Street, America, household incomes is $87,000. A single person, $67,000. Do you know they're living paycheck to paycheck to paycheck? That's right. Why? Because inflation. Who would ever think you're making $87,000 and you got to live from paycheck to paycheck? What the hell is wrong? Something's wrong. That's crazy. So, if you think about this, all the expenses, the household expenses, have increased from 46% to 68%. That's insane. That's crazy. I'm sorry, 30, yeah, that's right. That's the right number, sorry. Home prices have a record increase of 290%. From 2010 to 2025. They've doubled since 2022. There's no such thing as a starter home. In California, a starter home is $1 million. Here in Sarasota, Tampa, you can't get a starter home. You're going to have to pay $600,000 in a good neighborhood. And it's almost a shack. This is crazy what's going on. Why are houses up 290%? Because why? Because we had, again, Washington, especially when you have a Congress that's mostly Democrat, who want to put regulation on you. These builders can't, they just can't make money. They used to make money on the house. They can't, now they got to make the money just on the dirt. It's almost impossible because of all the regulations. So home prices are up 290%, not because of demand, it's because they took the land away from builders, the environmentalists. You had a little puddle of water. Oh, that's a wetland, man. That's a wetland. Oh, look at that frog. That's a humpback frog. Oh, man, we haven't seen one of those humpback frogs in 5 years around here. Oh, let's shut this development down. Mortgage rates. Think about it. Double. In 2021, you could get a house with a mortgage less than 4%. Less than 4%. 3.2, 3.8. Now it's doubled. So home prices are up 290%. They doubled since 2022. Mortgages up from 3 to 6%. So please tell me, how's this all going to be wonderful when they do a quarter-point rate cut? Are you nuts? What's going to be wonderful is when you're sitting there and you're trading a stock and you look at J.P. Morgan and you see these crazies and they're buying it today. Do you know that J.P. Morgan today was at a low of $295.56, and now it's at $303, and some dope went in there and bought that? If you can see my platform, look, it's red. Number one, it's red. It's telling you not to buy. This is my own platform I designed. But here's the important thing. Everybody's got this. It's telling you there's more money going out than in. It's telling you the trend. The train. Which direction is the train going? It's going off the rails. But people are buying because they don't understand what that means. They don't understand what trend is. Look at the volume. People bought the stock today. They bought JP Morgan today. And you got, look, just go back 5 days. You got to go back 5 days. There's more sellers than buyers. Let's take NVIDIA. Are you nuts? Take the last 4 days. Take the last 5 days. There's more sellers than there's buyers. And look at this. Some dope went in and bought this stock on November 20th. On November 20th. It was 182, right? And then when the stock went from 182 to 196, a FOMO came in. A FOMO, fear of missing out. Get me in, hurry up, get me in. It's 196. Get me in before it's 197. Hurry up, get me in. The minute he got in, bam, where'd it go? Down to 168 because he doesn't understand. He's buying against the trend. Trading's easy. It's not hard. If you have that one thing you need, that one thing. Short. Now, if you knew how to short, think about this. You would have saw NVIDIA, like my gang members. My gang members, we pointed out, going back to November 3rd, that the stock was in trouble. There's more sellers than there's buyers. Institutions are pulling their money out of NVIDIA. We saw that on November 3rd. We saw that on November 5th. But then you had people coming in buying. What the hell? Why are they buying? And then the stock dropped from November 3rd, and we shorted it. From November 3rd, that stock started, we had just a very small position on it then. But November 3rd, it was at 211, and it dropped down to 168. Today, it's 177. So imagine all those FOMOs who bought NVIDIA, and a bunch did, at 211. Today, it's at 177. How much is that of a loss, Willie? Give me that loss. What is it? 16% they lost. 60. These are FOMOs.
2 minutes.
Fear of missing out. Oh my God, I'm in NVIDIA. Well, get me in. What's it at right now? Oh, it's at 203.97. Get me in before it's at 204. You got to get me in. As soon as you got it, bam, it went down. Why would you get in when you can see on your chart it's totally red, my chart, Totally red, the one we designed. By the way, over 225,000 people use this chart over all the years that we've been doing this. Because it tells you where the money's going. Now, if you were short, look at the money you would have made. That's your only hope. That's your only hope. So let's talk about, and I'm almost losing time here, but we are into stagflation, but nobody wants to talk about that either.
Yeah, 1 minute.
The housing affordability. Think about this. Home prices are up 290%. Mortgage rates went from 3% to 6%. And a housing affordability gap is at 57%. Just take a medium price home right here in Sarasota. Medium price is around $462,000. That's $3,600 a month. You got to have an income of $1.25. The average family household income is making $85,000 a year. There's no more starter homes. The age group that's buying right now, the starter home, if you want to call it, most homes that are being sold are people who are 45 years of age or older. They only can afford it. So how does that make everything wonderful? $3,600 a month on a $460,000 house. That's without insurance and everything else.
10.
That's unbelievable. So none of this stuff matters if you know how to sell short. That is your insurance policy. You make money no matter what happens. Learn how to sell short. We'll show you how to do it.
You have been listening to Phil's Gang with your host, Phil Grande, on the Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Remember to visit Phil's website at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. Or call the office, 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264.